The man who took the longest to propose to her was A-Rod. He took about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 years. She was so impatient that she literally did a whole song, El Anillo, which is slang, but it basically means, when are you gonna give me the ring? This goes to show that it is JLO who's she pushes them. These images were captured early this week about Jennifer Lopez apparently house hunting without her husband. Notice that she's letting her left sleeve hang all the way down to cover her left hand, perhaps to cover the fact that she was not wearing her engagement ring. And the headlines everywhere are that Jeniffer 2.0 has come to an end. Now, we were just talking about this. Just 2 weeks ago, I put out a video wondering if old patterns that JLO and Ben have been engaging in, not showing any growth, just continuing to make the same mistakes, if this is actually leading to their impending divorce. Now, nothing official has come out as of the time when I am recording this. As much as I do believe that their relationship is in trouble, I'm not 100% convinced that these headlines are accurate at this time. They probably are going through a rough patch. Although I don't believe that this relationship is gonna go the whole distance, I just don't know if they would be willing to give up on it so quickly. It's not even 2 years. And I think that this time around, they would want to try and work this out as much as possible for as long as possible, if for nothing else, to shut up the haters. They haven't been seen together in many weeks. He did not go to the Met Gala, which is very telling considering that she was one of the people who was chairing the gala this year. But I just wanted to revisit this topic because in the last video about JLO, I said that I wanted to briefly touch on things about the movie and the documentary that I found very telling, and I think this is the time for me to share it. If you would like to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see me doing more commentary on different topics. Thank you, and let's go back to the video. Now, the movie itself, it's called This Is Me Now. It is named after her latest album, which unfortunately did not do very well. As a result of the poor album sales, her accompanying world tour that she had planned on doing is not selling very well. There are rumors that she might have to scrap the whole thing. And quite frankly, if they are split up, it would be very strange for her to still go on with this tour, singing songs that she wrote for Ben. But the movie has been getting slammed all over the internet. And quite frankly, I don't understand why. I saw the movie and I liked it. It was a very well-made movie. It was very artistically, aesthetically put together in a very beautiful way. I think the overall message of the movie was very beautiful. It worked. For me, it worked. And I think that the reason why a lot of people didn't get the movie is because the movie was very personal for JLO, and she put a lot of little hidden messages that I think a lot of people missed. And to be quite honest with you, I really don't buy this whole thing that people are confused. What is the movie about? What are all these scenes about? It was pretty self-explanatory. And it's either one of two things. Either we have lost the ability to identify subtlety and metaphor, or people were just hating on the movie because they wanted to hate on it. Because right now, the public is going on kind of a hatred for JLO. And people were just piling on and saying the movie was stupid, we didn't understand it, it was confusing. I think it was very straightforward, and it was a good message. I'm gonna try to give you a quick synopsis. The movie opens up with the story about an old Puerto Rican legend of two star-crossed lovers who were not allowed to be together, and they received some kind of a curse where the girl was turned into a flower, but he wasn't told which flower she was. And then he was turned into a hummingbird, and he goes through life looking for her, going from flower to flower, hoping to find his lover. And the legend says whenever you see a hummingbird going from one flower to the next, it is the prince in this story looking for his long-lost love. That's how it starts. Then we go into a scene where you see Jeniffer in the back of a motorcycle with Ben, and they're going really fast and they crash. Now, I can't believe that most people don't identify this scene. This is taken from a very famous photo shoot that Ben did for an interview that he had with Vanity Fair. I believe it was in 2002. It came out in 2003. And this was at the height of Jeniffer 1.0, when they had just gotten together 20 years ago. And this was a very famous photo shoot. It was shot by Herb Ritz, who was a very famous photographer. I believe this was the last major photo shoot that he filmed before he died, which made it even more special. But I identified that right there because Jeniffer's telling a story. And it was in 2003 when she suffered the greatest heartbreak of her life, when her and Ben called off their wedding. Shortly after that Vanity Fair story came out talking about Ben and his ascending career and his megawatt relationship with Jeniffer, shortly after that, they broke up, they called off their wedding. And that is represented by the crash that broke her heart. Her heart is represented by this mechanical heart that is being kept alive in this factory that is being run by all these women who are doing this choreography, and it's representing the chaos of the heart is broken and how are we going to put it back together. This factory with the choreography and everything, to me, tell me if I'm reaching, but it seems to me that this is kind of an ode to the movie Flashdance. This is a movie that Jeniffer has referenced. She talked about how it inspired her dancing career. She referenced it very heavily in her video, I'm Glad, another song that she wrote back in the day for Ben when they were together the first time. And so I'm seeing these symbolism. This is a very personal movie. And Jeniffer is putting little clues for people to say, hey, if you know me, you know. And so I recognize that. As the movie goes, as you can imagine, she talks about how all her life she's been looking for love. That's all she's ever wanted from the time she was a little girl. And she drops little hints. When you see the video that she released as a single for Can't Get Enough, you see her getting married 3 times. Jeniffer, before Ben, has been married 3 times. First to Ohani Noah, her first husband. I believe it's represented by the first guy. Then there is her second husband, Chris Judd, who was a backup dancer. And it's interesting that her second husband was played by Derek Huff, who is a dancer. And then the third guy, when I saw him, I saw that it's a black guy, and I'm thinking, is this supposed to be P. Diddy? But she never married Diddy. But I guess it represents her third husband. It doesn't have to be all on the nose. But she keeps dropping these little hints for you to know what she's talking about. And throughout the movie, she references different moments in her life. Like I said, the wedding. You can see the 3 weddings that she's had. There was this other scene where she is with this young guy when she walks into the house, and her friends look at her and they have an intervention saying, girl, you need to really stop with the getting married and getting engaged. It's just too much. You need to stop this. You need to go for some therapy and you need some help. The young guy, I believe, represents Casper Smart, who is the man, the backup dancer she was in a relationship with for a few years after she divorced Mark Anthony. I believe that's who he represents. There's also this scene of her getting engaged, and that is clearly her engagement to A-Rod because she's wearing the exact same dress. The scene looks exactly the same as the photo that they release of their engagement. The difference is in the movie, it's happening over a cliff, which is very symbolic, like they're about to fall off a cliff, like that relationship is not going to work either. But in reality, the engagement takes place at the beach. So there's all these references that she's throwing in there. And as a dark note, I have to say, there is a scene for the song Rebound where she's demonstrating herself in this relationship that seems to be very abusive. I think that's Mark Anthony. And this is why I think it's him. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But the fact that the song is called Rebound and her marriage to Mark Anthony was the most rebound of all the rebound relationships she has been in. And pretty much every relationship since her first marriage has been a rebound. But the fact that she married, not just got engaged, she married Mark Anthony 6 months after she broke up with Ben. And they got married the same week that he got his little quickie divorce from his wife, Dayanara. That he had to fly to the Dominican Republic to get that special quickie divorce. And like 2 days after that, he flew back to LA and they got married. That's very much a rebound if there was such a thing. And then, I don't know, I think the fact that she pretty much pretends like he doesn't exist. Every year when it's Father's Day, she writes these glorious Happy Father's Day for Ben, but she completely ignores the father of her only 2 children. is very telling. It's almost like she wants to erase that chapter from her life, which is sad. That's why I think it is Mark in that scene. And that scene happens right after her heartbreak, which is when she broke up with Ben the first time. And we know that that was the sequence of events. But I could be wrong. It could be just a fictional person. But as the movie goes on, she takes her friend's advice seriously. She goes to therapy, where she realizes that she has been looking for peace her entire life. Then she encounters her younger self, which represents her inner child. And her inner child tells her, you neglected me in your pursuit of love. You went looking for love everywhere else, but you neglected me. And that's why you're broken. So when she realizes that, she takes the time away from relationships, away from men, to nurture herself. She finds her own self-love. And it is only after that that she finally circles back to Ben. And in the last scene, Ben shows up. He has a rose on his lapel. She has a little hummingbird tattoo in her neck. And that symbolizes that the star-crossed lovers that were lost from the very beginning have finally found themselves. Beautiful, beautiful message. The symbolisms were there. There was nothing for people to be hating on unless they wanted to hate on it. The message was wonderful. You will never find love out there until you learn to unconditionally love yourself. Perfect message. Wrong messenger. Why was she the wrong messenger? When did JLO take that time away from relationships? When was that break? Because according to my notes, and I had to go and look at it, JLO and A-Rod announced their breakup in January of 2022. The following March, she was seen for the first time with Ben. That's not even 3 months. You're telling me that in 2 months, you nurtured your inner child, you took time away from relationships, and then in those 2 months, you cured yourself from your pain, from not being loved the way you needed to be loved as a child, and then Ben reappeared in your life? I don't believe you. I believe that there's actually some serious overlapping between the ending of her relationship with A-Rod and the beginning of the relationship with Ben. Okay, so my timeline was totally off. That's crazy. So Jen and A-Rod announced their breakup in April of 2021. A month later, in May of 2021, Ben and Jen were first spotted in Montana for the first time in 20 years together. So the timeline was even crazier in reality. And that is something that is very typical of JLO. JLO herself, she has said it, she doesn't like to be alone. So the way JLO does things, she will never move on to a new relationship until she has secured the next relationship that she's gonna fall into, because she does not want to be alone. And so I believe, like she's done in the past, while she was slowly ending her relationship to A-Rod, she was already having conversations with Ben about them getting back together. So there was no time at which she had time to take time away from dating, take time away from men, and nurtured herself enough to then enter into a healthy, loving relationship. And as a matter of fact, shout out to Paige Christie, because she did a video, a very good video, a comprehensive video about the whole timeline. And she pointed out the fact that in the documentary, JLo actually admits that it was Ben who gave her a sense of self-love, that she didn't see herself as lovable until Ben showed her that kind of love. So you didn't take time to heal yourself. It was Ben who, according to you, healed you and allowed you to see yourself as lovable. That is not the message you shared with us in the movie. And so, yeah, you pretty much contradicted yourself. And this is what brings us back to the full circle that I talked about in the last video. Jeniffer hasn't changed. Her patterns of behavior have not changed. She is that same person who seeks outside validation, always seeking love and approval and attention outside of herself, because she has not learned how to give it to herself. And her way of getting that validation and that attention is by showcasing that relationship to the world. It's as if she needs the attention from the world to make the relationship real. You know that saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it produce a sound? In JLo's case, I think she looks at things in this manner. If I'm in a relationship and the world is not aware of every detail possible, if I'm not able to show it to everybody and people aren't applauding and approving and paying attention to it, am I even in a relationship? I think that's how she sees things. She has to show the world. And by the way, remember I mentioned to you those photos when her and Ben were seen for the first time in 20 years? Those photos were taken in a place called the Yellowstone Club in Montana, where apparently Ben has a home. Here's what's remarkable about that. The Yellowstone Club is probably the most exclusive community in the entire United States. All the billionaires, the powerful people, politicians, captains of industry, a lot of them have homes in the Yellowstone Club. This is an uber exclusive community. It's like Fort Knox. You have to go through levels and levels of security and gates to even get in there. And in all the years that that community has been there has never been paparazzi photos shown from inside that location. How did the Paps get access to it? Who let them in? I tell you one thing, it wasn't Ben. JLo is known for doing this. She calls paparazzi. She lets them know where they're gonna be. She sets up photo shoots. And unfortunately, Ben is unaware of this because he's been very clear about the fact that he is not a fan of living his relationship out in the public. When she was with A-Rod, a man who, if it wasn't for the fact that that man just can't keep it in his pants, I believe he was JLo's perfect match. Perfect match in every way, and I might do a video about that. But one of the things that they have in common that she does not have in common with Ben is the fact that A-Rod loves the spotlight as much as she does. So he never had a problem with her sharing every detail of their lives. And boy, did she. When they were together, she pretty much documented their lives and showed it on her YouTube channel. Go check it out. The videos are still there, and I used to enjoy watching it. They allowed the cameras to be all up in their face, documenting everything from the tour she went on. And go back to my last video where I was talking about going on tour is kind of JLo's love language anytime she's in a new relationship, because it's a great vehicle for her to show off the relationship to the world and let people see her being in love and happy. So watch that video. She documented all of it. Now, when she got back together with Ben, knowing that the reason why the relationship didn't work out in the first place was because Ben was so freaked out by all the attention and the invasion of the public and the paparazzi in their lives, he made it very clear to her, I don't want to live my life in social media. We will not be filming, we will not be doing this because I don't want it to be public like the first time. And so what did JLo do? Before she bamboozled him into appearing into her documentary and her movie, what did she do? JLo literally started a newsletter around the time that she started her relationship with Ben. She started a newsletter and she announced it, letting her fans know, everybody wants to know all the details about my life.
I'm in New York. I just did a whole bunch of interviews and something occurred to me. I just felt like everything they were asking me was about my personal life. What are my beauty secrets? What is my skin? My relationship? Everything like that. And I'm like, I never felt like, oh God, I just want to share this through the media for everybody. It just always felt so awkward to me. But I do realize that there's interest out there from my real fans who really want to know this stuff. But I just don't feel comfortable sharing it with the whole world. If you guys really want to know these things, if you want to know my true beauty secrets, if you want to know what's going on at my house, in my relationship, all this stuff, there's going to be things that I do want to share. And just email me like my inner circle does. Not going to cost you anything. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I just realized that maybe that's something people want to hear. And you know what? I do want to share. I just don't want to share it with the whole entire world all the time. So if you want to be part of that inner circle, part of that little friend group, email me.
And so I'm starting a little newsletter for just a small group of my fans who are interested in knowing these things. So just email me and I will send you my newsletter. Every week I'll keep you updated on my beauty routine, my relationship, and blah, blah, blah. And so she started this whole newsletter for her small, intimate group of fans, knowing very well that millions of people were going to sign up for it because everybody wants to know. And so it was through this newsletter that she started updating people about what's going on. She announced their engagement on the newsletter. And Ben fell for this. This was just her way of slowly initiating the opening up of their relationship once more to the public. She's like, oh, it's okay. I'm not going to do videos. I'm not going to put it on my Instagram or anything like that. I'll just do a little newsletter for some of my fans. This was all a ploy to put it out into the public, just like they did during Jeniffer 1.0. And from there, we saw that she was doing interviews. She did an interview with Apple Music a whole year and a half before the album came out, this new album. And she's talking about the album before it was even recorded. But she called them because she had just gotten engaged and she couldn't wait to tell the world. So she used the pretext, oh, I'm doing an interview about the album. And the album wasn't even ready. It wasn't about the album. It was about talking about the relationship. And slowly she started opening up more, which culminated in the documentary, which people are ridiculing and panning. And the documentary really showed the cracks in the relationship. They showed Ben once again pleading with her, can we not do this? Can we please not show our intimate lives to the world? Can we keep it private? But she can't do it. The woman cannot help herself. And this is more than just a preference. This is pathological. And in all these 30 plus years that she's been in the public eye, she hasn't learned how to reel it in. And I think, if the reports are to be believed, that Ben has finally come to the conclusion, and they even quote one of their sources, quote unquote, of Ben saying, I love her, but I can't change her. Jeniffer did this beautiful movie where she describes where the root of her problems lie. The root of the problems of not being able to have healthy relationships is based on this need for external validation and ignoring her inner child. She did all of this while making the same mistake in our faces. What's the point of having self-awareness if you're not going to change? If you're not going to do anything about it? If this relationship ends, you know, I talk about these things, like I said in my last video. I'm not trying to poo-poo on people and say, see, I told you so. I don't enjoy seeing people suffer. I hate it. I hate it. And thinking now of the fact that the first time they broke up, it was devastating for both of them, mostly for Jeniffer. But this time around, there's children involved. And I'm going to leave it at that because children are off limits. But what's devastating is that these two people, here they are 20 years later, at this grown age. These are grown adults. They're middle-aged. They're my age. These are middle-aged people making the same mistakes they were making the last time. And now there's children who are going to have to suffer the consequences. Because the children must be suffering from PTSD. Oh no. What now? Is this happening again? Are we moving again? Are we going to have a new daddy? Are we going to have a new stepmom? It's not fair. And the lesson in all of this, and this is why I make these videos, because we need to learn from these people so we don't make the same mistakes. The lesson is, learn the lessons as soon as you identify them. Don't wait until you're older. Don't wait until there's children involved. Learn, take the experiences of the past and learn and move on and walk away. There's too much self-involvement going on. Jeniffer isn't learning. Ben isn't learning either. He's behaving impulsively, marrying this woman right away. And by the way, if you think that all these men who marry JLO within the first year of their relationship, it's because they find her so irresistible, understand, JLO is applying pressure. The man who took the longest to propose to her was A-Rod. He took about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 years before he proposed to her. And she was so impatient that she literally did a whole song pressuring him to put a ring on it. The song El Anillo, the chorus says, "Y el anillo pa' cuando?" El anillo pa' cuando? Which is slang, but it basically means, when are you gonna give me the ring? And it just goes to show that it is JLO she pushes them. Every single one of her exes, they got married really quickly after the relationship started. And that's not healthy. But that just goes to show that she has this insatiable appetite. I need a ring so that I can go outside and flash the ring and everybody can see that I am wearing it, that I am worthy, that I am lovable. I also feel that JLO, I don't know if it's love that draws her to these men, because she seems to be very self-involved. Ben has been very open about his alcoholism. He is in recovery. And what is the first thing that Jeniffer does when she gets back with this man? She creates a liquor company. I mean, I just don't understand it. And I understand that these are deals that take years. Maybe she started working on this deal years before she got back together with Ben. She probably had no idea that she was going to get back together with this man. But once she realized we're going to be together, that would have been the time for her to say, you know what? I can't do this. I cannot do this. Here's the money back. Here's all the money you paid me for my licensing, for my being the face of this company. Here it is. I can't do this. I can't do it. Or even pivot to, instead of doing a liquor company, let's do a non-alcoholic beverage. Let's show people that you can have a great time enjoying yourself at a party, drinking a delicious, refreshing drink, and you can have a great time without getting drunk. Especially considering the fact that JLO was notorious for not drinking before. I just don't understand. And let's say that they could have said, no, we cannot change the deal. We have a deal. You signed the contract. We will sue you. I would have been like, okay, let's go to court. Let's go to court and watch me sit on the witness stand and tell the world, yes, I know that I tried to change the deal, but I wanted to do right by my husband. And these guys are trying to force me to sell alcohol even though my husband is in recovery. Do you know how terrible that would look for that company? You know how many millions of dollars they would have lost? They wouldn't have sued her. But JLO has this thing, this relentless need for approval and to make as much money as possible, even though the woman is worth $400 million already. How much more money do you need? She talks about love don't cost a thing. There is no amount of money that I would be afraid of losing in a lawsuit that would make me continue this deal with my husband in recovery. But that's just me. Now, if they really are ending their relationship, it wouldn't be surprising to see her move on to somebody else very quickly, which would just be another indication that she hasn't learned, that love did not cure her, that she ran to Ben for the same reason why she ran to all her exes. She's running from herself. She needs to stop running, sit with her pain, sit with her feelings of self-loathing and insecurity and fear, and guide herself into, hey, I am worthy. Look at me. I'm talented. I have love in my life. I have my children. If I have nothing else, I have my children. I have health. I have all the resources I will ever need. She needs the help. So yeah, I just wanted to share this video with you. I hope that you learned something from it. I hope that we can all learn something from it. I hope Ben and JLO learn something from it. I wish them well. I really don't think that they're good for each other, but I wish them well. I don't like to see people, going through bad situations. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to hear more from me. I'm trying to grow my little channel to have more of you come in and have a discussion with me. Please share it with others. Put a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you in the next video.